Okay, welcome back. We shall now go to the next department in the agenda, which is Town Council. Mr. Madaus. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Stephen Madaus, for those of you that don't know me, I've been town council for the town of Shrewsbury since 2015. I'm a partner at the firm of Myrick O'Connell in Worcester. So as I've done in the prior years, Mr. Chairman, I will just, if at the committee's pleasure, just give a quick overview of some of the active litigation matters that my firm has handled, and then perhaps a description of some of the just more general business matters that we regularly handle as town council on behalf of the town. So relative to litigation, there's a case in the Superior Court where a developer applied for a special permit from the planning board under our inclusionary zoning bylaw, which requires development of an affordable housing unit, and the developer sought to make a payment in lieu, which requires a special permit. Instead of building the unit, the planning board denied that special permit, and the developer appealed that denial to the Superior Court. So that's one of the active cases. And as we've talked about in the past, Mr. Chairman, there are, for land use matters, when a board, such as the Planning Board or the Zoning Board of Appeals, issues a decision and the and a abutter appeals that, that's usually left to the applicant that received the permit or approval to defend that action. And we do file an appearance, but generally that's not one of the cost drivers, if you will. We don't take the laboring oar. We usually leave that to the applicant to defend that action of the board relative to the permit or approval that they issued. But that matter that I just discussed was a direct challenge to the planning board by the applicant, so we have to defend that matter. The other case is a takings case. The town did a taking of easements by eminent domain to expand an intersection. As you may be familiar with any taking by eminent domain, we have to get an appraisal report as to what the value is of the property. And then in that order of taking, we award damages to those property owners that are affected based on the appraisal. As commonly happens, the property owner may dispute the value of that award, and that is the situation in this matter that is also at the Superior Court, kind of just a battle of the appraisers, if you will, as to what the value is of that taking. The next matter is also a land use matter in Superior Court, which was an abutter appealed 2 special permits and 2 variances issued by our Zoning Board of Appeals. And in that matter, as I just described, the applicant is defending the decision of the Zoning Board of Appeals. But we did file an appearance on behalf of the town. Finally, relative to active litigation, most recently concluded was the case in Land Court where the abutters appealed the decision of the planning board to issue a special permit for the redevelopment of what was the Beale School property at 1 through 7 Maple Ave. The court did find in favor of the planning board in dismissing the plaintiff's case appeal of the planning board special permit. So that's just, and as we've talked about in the past, the day-to-day general counsel business is rather predictable. It's litigation that is the disruptor, if you will, of our litigation budget. As those cases that I highlighted, the town is not the plaintiff, we're the defendant, but with boards and commissions for land use matters and with the economy as it is for land use values, there'll probably continue to be challenges to permits and approvals that get issued by our boards. And if I may, Mr. Chairman, I'll just general matters that I handle as town council. Of course, I work regularly with the town manager's office and the various departments of the board. Just by way of example for the committee's information as to what the taxpayers spend their money on with my office, I've worked with the Public Works Department on obtaining from a developer both a donation and then also a developer that did land acquisition for extension of the sewer line in Hartford Turnpike, Route 20. Those were successful projects. Worked with Public Works Department on a long-term maintenance and repair contract for the water storage facilities, water tanks. That's a special act of the legislature, a special law that allows for longer-term contracts. Assisted the Board of Health in filing claims in the housing court to require the cleanup of certain derelict residential properties. Board of Health had identified these properties where junk was accumulating or a house was abandoned, and we had success in both of those matters in getting the properties cleaned up. Also assisted the Board of Health in an enforcement action against a retailer for violation of the board's tobacco regulations. Worked with the police department in applying for a license from the FAA for the police department to operate a drone for public safety. Reviewed and revised decisions, draft decisions of the planning board with the town planner. Reviewed and revised draft decisions with the Board of Appeals for 40B projects. Of course, we were active in the last year on the MBTA Communities Act and all that required of the town, working with the town manager and the town planner. Also worked with the town manager's office on enforcement of a Class 2 license, enforcement of the terms for the sale of used automobiles. Reviewed and revised an easement to be conveyed by the town in the area of Centec Boulevard as authorized by town meeting. And then we also did some enforcement matters relative to trespasses over town-owned property. In one instance, a party had actually built a garage on town-owned property, and that was removed. And most recently reviewed the sewer rules and regs for the Department of Public Works. So those are it's by way of example of standard town council work for the different departments. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I take any questions that you or the committee may have.
Thank you, Mr. Madaus. Jean?
Could you tell us what the total legal fees were on Beal?
I don't,
I can. So in FY '24, it was 142,678. FY '25 year-to-date is 23,000. So
Wait a minute now, 144?
142,678.
165 total.
And then this fiscal year-to-date, 23,000. So a little over 165,000.
Is there any more that has to be done?
only if an appeal would be filed by the plaintiffs of the decision.
But the
Deadline
judge's
passed.
decision was that there couldn't be any more appeals.
I don't see a path for an appeal, but I don't know if that,
I thought he stated that, according to the newspaper.
yeah, I don't know what the plaintiffs will do, so I don't want to say there'll be no appeal. I mean, some appeals may not have merit, so
Okay, thank you.
Ryan?
Just for point of clarification, I think I did see something that there was a timeline set for appeals to be offered that.
yes. So,
Gone.
yeah, the reason there's some uncertainty there is they filed, after the decision was issued, they filed a motion with the court, post the court's decision, asking for clarification on a certain matter relative to our zoning bylaw for clarification. And it seems to be a gray area as to whether that told the appeal period. And so how do you calculate when does the appeal period expire? I don't want to get into too much detail about litigation
you.
matters like that, but
Fine.
my view is there is not a valid path for an appeal. But people file cases without merit. We have to defend them.
Any other questions for Mr. Madaus?
Yeah, just, you had mentioned at the beginning that we do anticipate some land court things coming up. So I kind of questioning, does that, what you're looking might come, is that in this 183 300,000 budget, or that's kind of, we have to figure out how to pay for those?
I think it's covered by the total budget for the litigation.
We are, yes, I mean, as far as how we're proposing the budget for FY '26, it would be included in that. We will likely need a reserve fund transfer in the current fiscal year to get through the balance of the year, just where we are year-to-date. Because some of those cases have, there's, the subdivision inclusionary zoning bylaw, that case was actually in front of the application was in front of the ZBA almost 2.5 years ago, but now it's finally getting to the court. So it's always hard to judge when activity will actually start. So, but long story short, we'll likely be requesting a reserve fund transfer for this year before the end of the year.
I just had one question, it's probably to the town manager. Do we basically publish the ongoing litigations on our website?
Not on the website, but they're published annually in the town report.
Okay.
I think that's a good cycle because, litigation takes time, but Mr. Manouse's annual report does include all the cases that have been handled or brought.
Any other questions from the committee? If not, I open it to the public. I see none, so thank you, Mr. Madaus.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We shall now move on to human services. The first department under human services is the health department. Page 163.
Mr. Chairman, I will handle the health department this year and provide you an overview of operations. So we have a traditional public health department here in Massachusetts, but how we actually operate it is growing in commonality, but we're part of a regional environment that currently includes the city of Worcester, the town of Grafton, and the town of West Boylston through an intermunicipal agreement. And the Board of Health really has a broad charge. Some of those things that they're responsible for are really tangible, like inspecting restaurants and enforcing tobacco license regulations. And then there's other things that they do behind the scenes, like track communicable disease and report to the state and help us with emergency preparedness for things like common sanitation in emergency times and dispensing of medications and vaccines during emergency situations. So we do take a regional approach to that. That has been the town's long-term approach. It's occurred that way since the early, around 2010. We are reconsidering the model that we have now in the communities that we partner with, and we'll likely be moving away from the current partnership and taking more of a leading role. That would include moving away from the city of Worcester and partnering with other communities more like in size to us. Shrewsbury will likely be the lead community, and we would support that activity very similar to how we do with the city of Worcester. But we would also are in the process of securing a grant that would be for over $400,000 to help us move forward in carrying out our responsibilities in the area of public health. So it's still in process, but we've had pretty direct conversations with our partners and signaling that we're interested in leaving the current arrangement because we think we can provide better residents or services to residents in a different model. Definitely appreciate all the leadership that the city of Worcester has provided over the years in this model. Some changes at the state level with regards to public health responsibility. It's just getting more robust. The state's incentivizing programs a little bit differently than they have in the past. It seems like a good time to reconsider that relationship and make changes in the best interest of the community. So that's what we're pursuing. So I think the biggest change as would impact the budget here, as you see on this slide, is that the majority of the funding, $190,000, is situated within operational expenses. And That allows us to transfer those funds to, the majority of those funds to the city of Worcester to receive services. Likely when we come back to you in fiscal projection 2, the vast majority of the $190,000 would be in the salary and expense category, in addition to the $66,000 that's there right now. The $66,000 goes to a current Shrewsbury employee who provides department executive level services. She's departmental assistant. That position would continue, and then we would be receiving or expending funds directly for health inspector services and likely a department head level position. And as we look to continue our regional approach, we'd be receiving funds from the other towns that we partner with, perhaps the town of Grafton and West Boylston most likely. And we'd use those funds to offset the overall costs of the region. So we just play a larger role in a different configured region, a smaller region than what we've experienced in the past. So some changes on the horizon for the Board of Health. Happy to answer any questions you may have about the budget or how we plan to handle it in the future.
Dennis?
Do you expect there to be an increase or a decrease with this change for the budget?
I would expect that the expenditure would increase and the revenue would increase because we'd be receiving funds that we're currently not from Grafton and West Boylston. Right now, between Shrewsbury, Grafton, and West Boylston, we provide the city of Worcester about $350,000 a year for the operation of the regional public health department. So I would think that our budget would increase. We provide that $190 to them, up to $350,000.
Okay. But 160 would be coming out of,
Correct. Correct. It would come in as a local receipt
Yeah.
and offset the.
so it'd be roughly the same.
Yeah, roughly the same expenditures for the 3 communities year over year.
Okay.
Any other questions from?
With that new model, do we anticipate a headcount increase in that?
Yes, but they would all be partially funded by Shrewsbury and partially funded by the other communities that participate within the region. So we would basically continue to pay our fair share, just like we do to the city of Worcester, but we would have those employees as Shrewsbury employees, and their full complement of costs, including benefits, health insurance, pension costs, would be funded through the regional entity.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions from the committee? If not, I open it up to the public. I see no hands. Thank you, Kevin. We shall now move on to the Council of Aging. Council on Aging, my apologies. And thank you, Holly, for being so patient.
Sure.
Thank you.
Holly Luke, Council on Aging Director. Before I get started, I just want to make sure that I mention my COA Advisory Board members. And those are Senior Alex Roman, Larry Mayone, Raquel Kleiman Wexler, Ruth Scala, Pamela Penna, Shangara Dahal, and John DeShays. So when I usually talk about the Council on Aging Department, I usually break it down in 4 basic categories, and that is nutrition, transportation, outreach, and programs. So you can see here the department overview is to advocate for and develop programs and services that enhance the well-being and quality of life, create a welcoming, secure, and inclusive community for seniors. And as I just mentioned, the 4 categories. And under those 4 categories, the outreach, basically everything that we do over at the Senior Center for the Council on Aging has outreach associated with it, whether it's marketing or building relationships with outside resources. Our nutrition program is expanding, and we have a very well-run food pantry. We offer Monday through Friday congregate lunches. We also now, twice a month, we offer 2 Indian cuisine lunches, and we also offer the Meals on Wheels program. In addition to those categories, we have the transportation services. We have 2 vehicles that we utilize that we partner with WRTA, and then we also have our own 2 operating white vans for the COA department, where we are able to offer special trips on a weekly and monthly basis. And the last one was programs. So we offer programs weekly, daily, monthly, both inside and outside of the senior center. So our accomplishments for FY25. As I mentioned, we have a senior center food pantry. It was established and began in August. To date, we have 90 households that currently utilize our senior center, the food pantry. As long as there is a Shrewsbury senior 60 and over within the household, they are eligible to come and use the food pantry. There are no eligibility requirements. Everybody is accepted and everybody is welcome. One of the other things that we accomplished this year is becoming dementia-friendly Shrewsbury. My assistant director, Casey Bogan, went ahead and was able to become certified. So what she's been doing on a bi-monthly basis is offering different kinds of dementia-friendly informational sessions, which kind of just educates everybody on how to be dementia-friendly. And that could be the way you talk to somebody, your hand language, and the environment is super important too at the senior center, which we'll get to in a few more slides. Our volunteer engagement, we currently have 92 senior volunteers that range anywhere from receptionists to small home repair. On top of that, this year we created an Interage Alliance program. So we have roughly 31 student high school volunteers that meet weekly on Tuesdays. Their role is to become recognized in the community and help build those relationships that we might not normally have available to us. For FY26, our preliminary goals, one of them is the Senior Spotlight Program. So what we intend to do is on a monthly basis be available for questions and answers, and we would also like to be able to include one member at each one of those monthly Q&A sessions from outside. It could be from somebody from another town department, or it could be from one of our partners that we have, such as ESWA or Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services. One of the other preliminary goals that I created was a multicultural festive celebrations that celebrate diversity. About 6 months ago, I created a survey that went out to it was more of a strategic plan survey to figure out what the community wanted and what they would like to see us deliver. And one of the things that was mentioned was more programs that offered the wide range of what Shrewsbury has to offer. So we've already started establishing those connections. One, as I mentioned before, the Indian lunches that we offer twice a month. And we're excited to see where we're going to go with that. People have already heard through our Council on Aging meetings that we have monthly and been reaching out to us, letting us know that their intent to help. Our staffing plan. So our staffing plan changed a little bit this year. So we had been working with 2 part-time office assistants, and to be able to run the department more efficiently, we have instead gone from 2 office assistants to 1 full-time office assistant. That is the major change in FY25. That position is paid for from the formula grant for FY25. Our capital request for this year was the senior center floor and paint. Last year we did carpeting with dementia-friendly furniture. This year I'm requesting the senior center floor and paint. The reason being is any kind of distractions on the floors or walls or anything like that can negatively impact aging seniors with dementia, and the way to go about fixing that is by replacing some of the things that the senior center has. Right now, our large event room has multicolored tiles that can become confusing to some, and as well as the changing of the paint. So somebody who is aging and somebody who might have dementia, they really need a very good outline and when they're walking somewhere. So like, for instance, even in this room, the light green on the wall just isn't dark enough to guide them in the direction that they need to go. So that is why I'm requesting the capital grant for the senior center floor and paint. Here it just shows a couple of the statistics that I'm able to pull from our software system. And you can see, as I talked about before, the categories for our nutrition outreach and programs and where those lie. On the summary statistics over to the right, that is a lot of the volunteer statistics that we've been able to pull. And then on the bottom, you can see our transportation statistics. Just again, I wanted to again mention the food pantry. So it is supplemental for seniors 60 and over, emergency for fire and police. As I mentioned, we have roughly 90 households that are currently using that. One of the ways that we've been able to accept donations is the Friends of the Shrewsbury Senior Center have given us their copies of their 501c3, in which we're able to go to local grocery stores such as Market Basket, Trader Joe's, Price Chopper, and they have been giving us weekly donations, and to date, we've received over 1,000 pounds of donated food from them, as well as the community members and groups such as the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, Southgate, and the donations just keep coming. We have, this year, we've received a few grants. We did receive the Mass DOT grant. So what this is, it's $25,000, and what I do is I submit to the Mass DOT the salaries to our part-time support staff that has to do with transportation, as well as our part-time van drivers. We also had the Mass DOT Helping Hands mini grant. It's a smaller grant, but one of the things that we did this year was we purchased from my transportation coordinator a scanner, and that just allows her to do her position more efficiently when she's communicating with the WRTA. Then we receive our annual Massachusetts Council on Aging MCOA grant. I skipped one, but we'll just go down to that one. So what that is they go off of the 2020 census. We receive $15 a senior, and so that left us with $129,585. And right above that, I apologize for skipping over one, we did receive $4,000 from Massachusetts Council on Aging, and we put that towards the creation of 400 emergency preparedness kits. And I'm happy to say that when we did that event, those kits were gone in less than 4 hours. Is that the last one? Any questions?
Yes, Dennis.
On the food pantry, is it all donations?
It started off that we were utilizing some of the formula grant to get some of the donations in. In the winter months, we saw a decline in donations for, I think, obvious reasons. But we do also partner with a farm in Acton, where they also provide us produce at no cost, and we pick those up on a weekly basis. But yes, most of our things that we have now are all by donation. We're actually we're in the process of looking for an outdoor storage container, because we have so many donations that we want to make sure that we can utilize our space the best that we can.
So you do take, offer fruit, produce?
Yes.
Vegetables?
So there's nothing that we don't take. So we take hygiene items, produce items, frozen. We have commercial appliances like that inside of the senior center.
Great.
Gene.
Quick question, with the capital expenditures going to be done with the painting and the roof and everything, is it going to interrupt the services at all?
No, so the Public Buildings Department has been really good. So usually what we do is we try to figure out where like a 3-day weekend might lie or something like that. We do have to consider any kind of obviously smells or anything like that, but we do our very best to make sure that we're not going to close the senior center. And the roof is actually not ours. The roof is for the public buildings.
Rajesh.
Thank you. It looks like a great focus area on the multicultural diversity thing. So what's the population looks like? How diverse is the population? that we have?
How is it published?
No, within the senior center, how diverse is the population of this?
Oh, I would say that certainly by starting up the Indian lunches that we've just started over the past couple of months, we've seen an increase for that particular program. So what we're hoping is that that will just be the start of it, because I've met some wonderful people through that who I've been able to have conversations with, and they're willing to and want to come and volunteer their times so to educate me, because I think that that's really important that we include the community as much as possible, because I don't know everything. So I'm very much looking to forming more rapport with everybody and being able to do that. I know that we have each one of my staff members has been also helping us increase the line of communication with outside sources. So we're really looking forward to seeing where this goes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I had one comment and excuse me, a comment and a question, I believe so. I think it's wonderful work that you're doing. Thank you so much. And what really stood out to me was the dementia-friendly Shrewsbury, given the rising cases of dementia as people are living longer. So I was just wondering, and that's my question. Do you have any programs or plans for senior depression, because that's also becoming a big issue, loneliness and all that. So
Yeah.
what sort of plans do you have for that?
Sure. So currently, we actually, it's about 6 months ago, we partnered with Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services. So they come once a week, each Friday, and they offer mental health counseling. So we do have that happening with us, and we do offer different kinds of support groups throughout the year. And with our partnerships, we have a lot of partnerships. There's a couple in Worcester that also come and offer their resources when they come into the senior center, which is really good because they also work with my outreach coordinator, Renee D'Argento, to set up any other services that somebody might require.
Does anybody else have any questions from the committee?
You ought to mention your memory care group too.
Yes.
They do
Yep.
have a memory care.
Yeah, we offer, twice a month, we offer our Memory Cafe, and then we also promote the library's Memory Cafe, who happens to meet on the opposite weeks that we do. So every single week, there are those resources available.
There are no more questions from the committee. Anybody from the public? I see no hands. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Holly. Thank you for your
Thank
time. We shall now move on to the Veteran Services.
I'm going to handle this this afternoon, committee members. Mr. Farrell, who's our Veteran Services Director, is unable to be here. So we participate in a regional veteran services arrangement. So we partner and have partnered since 2013 or 14. I guess it was before that, 2012, with the towns of Grafton, Northborough, and Westboro to administer Veterans Benefits Program covered under the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 115. What that allows us to do is share administrative costs and provide enhanced outreach to veterans who are eligible for the formulaic grants that the Commonwealth offers. The Veteran Services District is led by the director and a veterans agent, and they rotate throughout the communities to make sure that they serve each community's veterans in person. Currently, when they're in Shrewsbury, they operate out of one of the conference rooms at the front of the police station. The budget that we have this year is a reduction year over year. But what we're actually doing is right-sizing the amount of funds that we have budgeted in the Chapter 115 benefits line. As I previously mentioned, these are formulaic benefits, and they're based upon a financial need of veterans who are eligible to receive them. So anytime someone comes in and requests those services and they fill out the application, which we should support them with, it is our goal to get them as much funding as we can to make sure that their needs are provided for in times of need. So the budget is a reflection of a continued year-over-year decline in the utilization of those services. And quite frankly, I think the largest driver of that is we're kind of in a generational transition from, Vietnam era veterans into the Gulf War era veterans who would be seeking these services. Again, this isn't a reflection of our desire to provide services to benefits, it's a financial reality. So as we free these funds up, they can go to other parts of the budget. Likely in the future, we'll be back to increase them when necessary. The Commonwealth reimburses us on a one-year arrears basis for 75% of the funds that we expend for veteran services. So comes in under the cherry sheets, and we receive those funds on a quarterly basis, again, 1 year in arrears. So it's a pretty straightforward budget. We're really grateful for the partnership with the other communities in the region. We get together on a quarterly basis. Justin Dobson serves as Shrewsbury's representative on the governance committee to make sure that we have that additional access into the oversight. I'm happy to answer any questions. It's a pretty straightforward budget, $151,517.
Any question? Dennis?
As you said, you're right-sizing it. If there was somehow, a veteran became eligible, we just take that out of free cash, I would assume, and then,
Probably the reserve fund during
Oh,
the
reserve
course of
fund?
the year. Yep. Yeah. We-
so just by dropping this, we just free up that money, but we're not gonna
Yeah.
leave a veteran on.
We're budgeting 70,000 for fiscal year '26, but we're on track to spend about 50 this year. So we still have a pretty good buffer.
Okay.
But again, something could change if the economy takes a turn. But we would do whatever we need to do to make sure those
Okay.
funds can go out on time.
Any other questions? I open it to the public. I see none. Thank you, Kevin. We shall now move to the library department. And that is page 170.
Do you want any of your trustees to come up, or? Okay. Yeah. No, it's fine. I need to move back in something else.
Thank you.
Sure, of course. Thanks.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Priya Ratnam, the library director. With me here today are some of the members of our library board of trustees, April Jones Prince, our vice chair, Deb LeBeau, and Bob Trudell are here. And Claire. Sorry. And Claire O'Connor is here too. In keeping with the library's vision and mission statements, we offer programs and services to engage residents of all ages and offer easy access to multiple resources and materials that support community members' diverse interests. These resources are in various formats such as books, e-books, Library of Things materials, and electronic resources. Next. One of our main accomplishments this year is that we started a world language collection for teens and adults. We've had a children's collection for many years. We formed a committee with our youth services, adult services, and acquisition librarians. We gathered community demographic data, including language spoken at home by Shrewsbury families, and the report compiled by the director of the school's ELE department. We compiled information about vendors from various language publications by gathering input from librarians at other libraries that have a strong world language collection, and the director of the World Languages Department at the high school. We've started a collection of fiction and nonfiction books for teens and adults in Spanish and Portuguese. Our second accomplishment was the successful launch of a makerspace on November 9th, with 110 community members in attendance. Since the grand opening, community members have created Christmas presents, embroidered tote bags, refashioned clothing, and artistic projects using makerspace tools. The makerspace has fostered a sense of community. The monthly knit crochet night is a popular gathering where participants share tips, tricks, and new techniques. All makers' times, when some makerspace tools are available on a drop-in basis, fosters knowledge sharing. Makerspace users have taught each other how to use the serger, sewing machine, and other tools. The small but mighty Makerspace team continues to host regular workshops and foster knowledge sharing in the community. The Makerspace team also manages 3D printing at the library. The 3D printers have been hard at work printing out an average of 30 prints per month, ranging from holiday ornaments to flexible dragons to customized headphone hangers and more. We've launched our community-wide reading program, and I've shared the brochure with all of you. This is ongoing during the months of March, April, and May. We've planned a series of programs and activities on the theme of food for all ages, such as local food trivia, healthy garden recipes, tea and fine chocolate pairing for Mother's Day, starch madness for people to vote on their favorite starch, cocoa and canvas for children, and breakfast charcuterie boards for teens, and many more culinary activities. For fiscal year 26, one of our primary goals is to build on our strong connections with other town departments and agencies, solicit volunteer help from engaged community members, and truly make the library a place of the community, for the community, and by the community. And in fiscal year 24, we had 195 volunteers who contributed a total of 3,595 hours. Another goal is to expand the world language collection by adding books in more languages. We'll also follow library trends and explore new formats of information as they become available, and provide our patrons access to digital resources and online platforms. We purchased technology equipment with ARPA funding last year, and we'll continue to facilitate patron access to those tools. The trustee-approved budget request includes a full-time library manager of adult services. The adult services team has 2 reference librarians, 1 outreach and marketing librarian, a digital services librarian, and a technology specialist. Currently, the assistant director manages this team of 5 professional librarians, oversees the programs and services they plan and coordinate, helps them with their professional development, and does their performance assessments. The wider responsibilities of the assistant director include tasks such as supporting the library director with developing yearly action plans, planning a library-wide technology strategy, collaborating with other municipal departments, overseeing grant projects, and hiring personnel. This request for the library manager position has not been approved in fiscal projection 1, so the assistant director will continue to manage the adult services team and will have less time to focus on the special duties specific to the assistant director role. In fiscal year '24, we had hired a second reference librarian, and her salary was paid entirely from state aid funds in fiscal year '25. In the proposed budget, 25% of her salary is included in the operational budget, and 75% will be paid from state aid funds. The library continues to evolve as a vital community resource, and it's imperative to adapt its services and staffing to meet the growing and diverse needs of its patrons. As our programs expand and our collections grow, the library faces increasing demand for innovative programming, enhanced patron support, and efficient operational management. So while we are maintaining level staff funding, we are also offering robust programming, including makerspace programming, diversifying our collections, providing innovative services, including outreach services, promoting our resources and programs, and managing very busy public service desks. The materials budget requirement has been met, and any shortfall can be addressed with state aid or trust funds. These are our ebook usage and expenses. Overdrive is the digital content platform that provides library users access to ebooks, e-audio, and digital resources through the Libby app. Hoopla allows you to borrow and enjoy audiobooks, ebooks, comics, movies, TV, magazines, or music. This chart shows that ebook and e-audio usage through Overdrive and e-resource usage through Hoopla have steadily increased over the years, with matching increases in expenditures. Historical analysis of library statistics indicates that the library is as popular as ever. Many times patrons are directed to use the overflow parking at the Congregational Church when there are multiple programs happening simultaneously at the library. And as ebooks and e-materials increase in popularity, we find that physical books, magazines, DVDs, and video games are also equally popular, and they've not lost their appeal. You can see the number of programs that have been offered for children, teens, and adults, and the attendance at these programs. So the total number of programs that were offered in fiscal year '24 was 1,053, and total attendance numbers peaked at 39,158. And this is in large part due to the popularity of our teen and adult programs and extreme popularity of our children's programs. About 60 to 80 individuals attend the morning story times. Over 200 people attend programs such as the summer reading kickoff event, the noon Year's Eve party, Easter egg hunt, the Halloween program, and other family-friendly programs. After analyzing the statistics within the library, I wanted to compare our circulation numbers, library visits, attendance at programs, and number of interactions at the service desks with libraries that have a similar population. We selected libraries, the population range between 30,000 and 45,000, with a few exceptions. So we can see that our collection usage is moderate compared to the other libraries. The foot traffic at our library is second only to Lexington, indicating strong community engagement, possibly due to programs, study spaces, and general accessibility. Our library offers a high number of programs and the highest attendance among these selected libraries. Our librarians answer a high number of reference and technology-related questions, showing strong staff engagement in helping visitors with research and inquiries. We also did a comparison of FTE, the full-time equivalent, and discovered discovered that we ranked 5th among these same set of libraries. We have fewer staff members than the top libraries, which could indicate potential understaffing for its high visitor volume. The next slide shows a comparison of Shrewsbury and our neighbor, Worcester. Worcester's population is 5 times that of Shrewsbury. Their FTE is 5 times more than us. They offer 4 times the number of programs. Yet our circulation numbers are half of theirs. The number of visitors is 80%. Attendance at all programs at Shrewsbury is about 40,000, while theirs is 80,000. And the number of interactions at our service desks is 70% of theirs. I think this data highlights the high activity level at our library, and despite being understaffed, our librarians effectively manage multiple responsibilities and work hard to maintain a welcoming environment. The public library contributes to a sustainable community. As residents have the opportunity to borrow library items, they can choose to use an item from our library of things before making a choice to buy it. Library users are more prone to reusing and recycling, and hence saving money and the planet's resources. This chart shows how much money SPL users have saved. Residents are not only saving money by borrowing books, magazines, DVDs, and games, they are saving money by using acquired study space with free Wi-Fi instead of renting a space, by using public computers, borrowing tools, attending diverse programs, and distinguished speaker talks. The library therefore ensures that the community is engaged and connected, thriving, prosperous, and sustainable, and aspires to create an exceptional community. I wish to thank our trustees for their unswerving support, the town manager and his office for their assistance and guidance, my staff for their willingness to juggle many responsibilities and serve with a smile, and the community for appreciating the library's offerings. I would like to conclude by sharing an email message that we received from an appreciative patron. She says, "I wanted to take a quick second to send thanks to the children's room librarians. Every time I come in, I've noticed a wealth of books on display that celebrate a diversity of race, language, cultures, gender identities, and sexual representations. Seeing these books give me comforting reassurance that there are partners in the community that I can rely on to help educate my children and raise them, embracing a variety of perspectives. Thank you for your commitment to creating an inclusive space for the children of Shrewsbury. And thanks in general for all your great programming, events, and resources. My staff and I feel humbled by this stamp of approval of our efforts. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to present before the Finance Committee."
Thank you, Priya. That was a wonderful presentation, and I just wanted to make a comment that I think this data that you presented is very impressive, especially the attendance. It seems that we outperform, as you mentioned, we outperform all the comparable communities. So that's a tribute to the work you and your team are doing. So thank you for that. I had a budget question. There was and you have mentioned a $45,000 charge for electricity. I was just wondering what that was all about.
Probably help answer that. It's actually for internet charges. Previously, these services were provided by Selco without charge, and as they are right-sizing their operations and ensuring that fees are covering services properly, this is something that the library will be covering the costs, and there is an opportunity for us through the state to submit for E-rate reimbursement. While it may not be all of it, we are capable to receive some funding back from the state. So it does support Selco because it is more properly identifying their costs, and it also allows us to get some funding from the state if possible. Does that help answer? Or?
So does that have to come under the library budget, or couldn't that be somewhere else?
It is the library's budget. The internet charges typically go with, We don't do that through public buildings. That's, yeah, that's by the building. And that also does, in some regards, help with your state supply budget, right? That applies to that number?
No.
The material, it doesn't go to the
No.
materials budget, or?
No, it wouldn't go through
Yeah.
materials. But there is a scope for exploring E-rate
Correct.
reimbursement
Yep.
also through the library,
Yep.
state library network.
Yeah, Priya and I sat down with a representative from the state and the same consultant that works with the school's e-reimbursement. The school pays their internet charges, and they receive funding back from the state as well.
David?
I love the library. I'm bringing my kids there for decades before it was what it is. But just, I don't want to harp too much on the Wi-Fi charges. That's a lot. I don't know how much that is per computer, but that's, how many computers do you have?
You mean the 45,000?
Yes, yes. For how many
Again, I think
computers?
David can
I-
explain that.
I have that, I'll pull up that figure and share it with the committee. I don't want to mess up the numbers off the top of my
Okay.
head, but there is a lot of data, which it is a lot. There is a lot of data and a lot of devices at the library, but it's a testament to how much is getting used as well. So,
I mean, are we going to eventually price out alternatives? I mean, I understand Selco, but if we can get it for much cheaper, you know, I know there's some reimbursements and things I don't know, but I'm just wondering if it's even, if it's going to price itself out, or because of the way the reimbursements work, it's
Yeah.
fine.
we can definitely look into that and get you more solid numbers. My gut feeling is right now is that this is probably one of the best
Okay.
financial approaches that we have. Other options would probably be 2 or 3 times the price.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, but we can definitely give you solid numbers to work with.
On the volume of data and the capacity and the dedicated capacity that we would need, or we do need, I don't think that a little less than $4,000 a month is that extraordinary for that level of internet service.
Okay.
Rajiv?
Go ahead. And thank you, Priya, for the wonderful presentation. It's with all the metrics and everything. 2 questions I have. Maybe one for the town. One is, it looks like with the number of the data and the comparable communities, so there is a steep decline with the circulation of materials. So do we know why is that?
It's not really a decline.
Or
It
like
is-
compared to low circulation?
Yes, it just shows that, I think it's Lexington and Arlington, the other 2 libraries that
Right,
have,
surrounded by.
yes. Their community is probably borrowing more books, borrowing more materials. This is a very good number. Shrewsbury's number is, material circulation is,
442,000?
yes.
It's not just because of the non-availability of material, it must
Oh,
be.
not at all, not at all.
Okay.
Circulation numbers are pretty good. It's just that with the comparison of, as I said, just a couple libraries that are way above us. But otherwise, it's comparable to the other communities.
No, I agree. With that, all the programs are like fantastic. A lot of people do commend the activities happening at library.
Thank
So it definitely well received by the community. One question related to the Wi-Fi, maybe to the town, is how much is that school typically gets reimbursed? Is it like so that we can?
I can't comment to that. We can get those figures. I don't want to, again, mess up the numbers. But there is a formula that is used to determine this amount, but, yeah.
Thank you.
I'll get that together for the committee.
Thanks.
A question, then I'm going to make one comment on the internet, but you said we have 6 requested and you received 6. I thought you said one of the new hires was not approved, new positions. Or is that moving that position that was fully funded is now only partially funded into the
One of the
6?
positions is the reference librarian position that had been approved the previous year. And this year, fiscal year 26, 25% of that person's salary will be paid for from the operational budget and 75% from library state aid.
Okay, just because I saw you had 5 and then you have 6 with fiscal year 26. Was there another hire that you wanted to get on top of that?
Yes.
So you wanted to go to
Yes, that is-
7?
Yes.
Okay,
that-
that's,
That was a request.
Yeah. okay. It's just, I would have expected the 7 to be in that, so I was just a little confused, but I think the numbers are fine on that. I would definitely like to check into the internet costs because I pay $800 a month for a full gig, up and down connection with unlimited data, so.
Yeah.
I would think, now, maybe the discounts are, the rebates will make it cheaper, but it sounds like it's pretty high.
Yeah, maybe I can look into, just give you a sense of the actual data, that level it is. It's,
Uses or has available. It's a 10 gig connection to our internal network, and then there's also a subscriber OIT, which is a gig.
yeah, so, all right, I got this.
We'll get the numbers.
I mean, there's probably a good reason for it, I just,
Yeah, 10 gigs of redundant service, and we'll find the rest of the numbers, sorry. Yeah.
Any other questions from the department, committee? Not, I open it up to the public. No questions there. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next department on the list is recreation.
Thank you, Dale.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
All right. My name is Laurel Rossiter. I'm the director of the Recreation Department. The Recreation Department here in Shrewsbury is composed of one program coordinator, one event coordinator, a full-time admin assistant, and myself. We also fluctuate between about 10 to 50 part-time staff depending on the season. We offer structured leisure activities and classes for things like cooking, crafts, nature exploration, foreign languages, babysitting and safety courses, and fishing clinics. We also offer many organized active recreation and athletic opportunities, which include, but not limited to, youth and adult basketball, tennis and pickleball lessons and leagues, fitness classes, archery, drama, STEM, summer camps, and more. Some of our community events do include the summer concert series at Dean Park, Eggstravaganza, Food Truck Festival, Movie in the Park, July is Park and Rec Month, Turkey Hunt, Truck or Treat, New Year's at Noon, and many others. We do aim to provide program and community connection opportunities for those of all ages, abilities, backgrounds, and interests. In addition to programs and events, the Recreation Department also manages the pavilion and picnic rentals and reservations at Dean Park, the town athletic field permitting and light scheduling, the operation of our 2 state-owned boat ramps. We also work very closely with Parks Maintenance Division to understand public use of our town's parks, fields, playgrounds, courts, and other amenities, and to assist in managing their daily operations, use, and safety. Just a few fun pictures of the variety of things that we offer to the community. The Memorial Day Parade, one of our summer camps, and there's some unsure-looking children standing in the bucket of a digger at one of our July is Park and Rec Month events, where the DPW Highway Department came down to Dean Park for a little truck day.
did they give them a lift?
They did not. No, we didn't pick up any children. Some of our notable accomplishments in the past year. One of them includes our Rec Connect program. This is a collaborative initiative with the Northborough and Southborough Recreation Departments, in which we intentionally plan adaptive, inclusive activities for community members with disabilities and their peers to come together to connect, share experiences, and discover new interests and skills. While Rec Connect is still gaining momentum and establishing consistent participation, we are truly excited for its potential and the growth that we anticipate in the coming years. I'd like to share that we did just receive the Central Region Community Impact Award from the Massachusetts Park and Recreation Association at this week's past annual conference for this program. New event offerings. So with the addition of our event coordinator in the last year and a half, we have been able to focus a lot more time and energy on the community's requests for additional opportunities to come together, whether it be for a seasonal or holiday celebration, or in smaller, kind of more specific interest groups, like our Jigsaw Jubilee. We had Coronation Day, Sneaker Prom, the Syrup Soiree, Trivia Tuesday, and Taylor Swift Music Bingo. We have also seen increased participation in all of our events as we grow this branch of our department. And as excitement grows, we're receiving lots of suggestions and excited requests for other events that our community members would like to see here in Shrewsbury. We've made significant strides in our program offerings as well over the last year. Our program coordinator is dedicated to improving the participant experience, offering activities for a greater variety of ages and interests, and building a strong base of part-time staff members, instructors, coaches, volunteers, and vendors to help us offer quality programs to all. We have been very intentional this year with our investments in the areas of community engagement, public outreach, and marketing. There still are many community members who don't really know too much about our department and who don't look to us first for local recreational opportunities. So we've not only made financial contributions, like sending a summer program postcard to each residence, but also making a very cognizant effort to invest our time and resources in being physically available and involved in community events whenever the opportunity arises. Two of our preliminary goals for this coming year include to transition to automated boat ramp operations. This was suggested by the State Fish and Game Department, with who we work closely on the operations at the boat ramp. A lot of other communities have gone in this direction, and it becomes more efficient and effective for the user. And also on our end, it's a little bit hard to find people who want to work every weekend during the summer. So staffing is a little bit tricky and limited for the boat ramps. So having another opportunity there for people to scan and have kind of official state day use passes for the boat ramp in a digital manner seemed to be the right way we should go with that. So we'll be exploring that a little bit this year. And our second goal is to increase our program participation by 25%. Typically, we kind of dabble in the 5% range, so this is a little aggressive, but I'm really excited about it. I think the direction we're going and the community engagement and excitement that we're seeing and the hard work that my team is doing will support this amount of growth in the year. While showing you some more fun pictures, I can take any questions that anyone might have at this time.
Just a quick question on the automation of the boat ramp. Is it like an app that people that would want to use the boat ramp will go into? Will that save having to pay a person to do some job?
Yes, it will save having to pay a person to do the job on the weekends. I don't know that it would be necessarily an app. They've suggested kind of setting up QR codes that people can scan at the boat ramp without having to download a whole app. That's an option that like Worcester uses. They use the Yelp parking app at their DCR boat ramp properties. So we've kind of looked into that a little bit, but we'll be digging into it a lot this year. But something like a digital option where people can get there.
Thank you.
And have the opportunity to pay the fee without too much trouble.
Any other, Rajesh?
So there's an operational expenses increased by like so what's that, that's going towards program management or installing scanners at the boat ramp, or?
That hasn't been budgeted in this cycle for the boat ramps at this time. Is the next one the money? Yeah.
You had a question?
Yeah.
David?
I'm sorry. So if you went over this, I'm sorry, but there's a few new charges that you didn't do the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
Professional services, rental of equipment, and transportation.
Yes.
So if you didn't need them for a few years, is it a new program you're doing or something new?
The increases here in some of our lines that I can address are just due to the growth of the department and trying to keep programs as affordable as possible and without passing on every penny that's increasing on our end to the user because it's community recreation.
Laurel,
sorry.
maybe you can bring up that you have the revolving fund and other, these are typical expenses, but they've been in the revolving fund, that would be.
Yes,
Yep.
these are typical expenses, but they have been coming out of our revolving fund. So everything is program fee based, and we have to follow a very strict cost recovery model while growing our revolving fund to pay for additional services. So for example, when we go to community safety night and we show up with a bounce house, that's paid for out of program fees that we've brought in over the year. Some of this stuff is to try to offset those costs so that we're not charging out from all of our programming fees to pay for all the things that we're providing to the community. So for these professional services and, rental of equipment, we have to pay for inflatables and generators, and every time we go kind of offer this free event to the community, it's certainly not free. Professional services is a large number this year, that's $23,500. A big chunk of that is $20,000 for a software upgrade we're looking to bring to our department that can do a lot more operationally efficient things that we kind of right now chop up through other things, including we have a large number of field permit fees that we offer to people that we have to use a separate program for, and we have our recreation management software and then a different thing for that and that and that. So this is it's called Kaizen software, and it's definitely more user-friendly. Every time we go to, we have an event or something at the park, and then if there's a fee or if we're kind of selling refreshments or t-shirts or what have you, even if it's for fundraising opportunities, people don't carry cash. And we have no other way right now to let people pay digitally to our department. This would allow that to happen. It's also very mobile-friendly, so people can jump on their phone and either register for a program or pay for a field or things like that. So this is going to help us a lot internally with our efficient processes for recreation. This also includes $1,000 for our Musco lighting system, all the light poles that you see at the parks to light up the baseball and softball fields. That's a cost right now that comes out of the user pocket that I'm trying to build into our budget. And also constant contact so that we can send out our monthly newsletters and communicate effectively with our households, things like that.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Dennis?
I see in 2024, you collected $447,000 in revenue, and I think your budget was $303,000. Am I reading that correctly, that you're about $100,000 that year in profit or net positive revenue?
Yes, but it goes right back into the department. We spend about $200,000 a year just on part-time staff.
Okay, so that's not well, that would be under your salary and wages, correct, or no?
Not correct.
Okay.
We don't have any part-time staff wages out of our salaries and wages. That comes all out of user fees and goes into our revolving account, and then we pay them back out on payroll.
Would it be better if we could actually capture those fees and know that the program itself is what it's costing? And it sounds like you're paying for all the part-time people. I don't have a problem with that. I was actually looking at this saying maybe you're underfunded, but.
Correct.
I mean, we can provide a full bottom line for you, but the way the Commonwealth has recreation programs run are through revolving accounts, which don't pass through the general fund, but we can provide that full accounting.
Yeah, it's just, I didn't realize that, so it's good to know.
Yeah.
'Cause I was looking at this saying, wow, they're net positive, but I guess they're not.
Well, I mean, the way to look at it is the department spends about $700,000 a year, not $500,000 a year. Or
Maybe more than that, yeah.
Yes. Is there another question that I missed about this stuff?
Any other questions for the committee? Now I open it to the public, and I see none. Is there anything else, Ms. Rossiter, that you want to present?
Sorry, I was wondering if I had missed a question, and he asked about the bus fee going up from $0 to $10,000.
Oh, the transportation fee.
Yes, the transportation. So that's about half of the yearly fees that we pay for school buses for our youth programs during summer camp, April and February vacation camp. So it's only about half of that. We would still, so I'm looking for this budget to subsidize about half of that because those camps and summer care programs are childcare. So we don't want to keep, as bus fees keep, drastically increasing, I'm looking to keep our programming kind of level funded so that families can still afford our summer care programs for multiple weeks.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's possible, but I know you have the revolving account that sort of funds some and the town funds some. But I don't know if people would want to see that revolving fund in, so we see, oh, now you want half, you need that money back, because it looks like you don't need the money for years and it pops up, instead of, well, I've been paying it from this account that we don't see, and now it's here. Does that make sense?
So just for point of clarification, up until fiscal year '22, the recreation department was combined with parks maintenance. So that's why 22 actuals look very different.
Right.
So 23 on is recreation as a standalone department and parks maintenance as a standalone.
So they, okay,
But we can provide a look back on the revolving fund as well, if that's gonna be helpful.
yeah,
And
just to
yeah.
make sure they're keeping enough reserve in there.
Thank you, Ms. Rossiter. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
We can move on to the Commission on Disabilities. Kevin, you're taking care of that.
Yeah, sure. Obviously, a really easy, small expenditure department. The Commission on Disabilities is a commission that is appointed by the town manager and provides the following priorities: accessible housing, transportation, equal job opportunities, achievement of barrier-free environment. As you can see on the screen there, they operate with a very small budget of about $500 that they use for expenditures and managing primarily an awards program recognizing accessible environments in private businesses. The work of the commission has been expanding and growing over the past few years. They do have access to the new expanded capped parking fines and can leverage those funds for the work that they do as a commission as well. So again, a volunteer commission appointed by the town manager. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Dennis?
Just out of curiosity, what are now that they've put in the new parking fines, what are we collecting for handicap parking violations? Do you have an idea? If you don't, that's fine.
Not that we can get that figure, but I
We'll
don't.
have to get it for
we-
you. Sorry.
Yeah.
'Cause
Should
I
have
know
had that.
the fine went up, I think, pretty significantly.
It did, from $100 to $300.
Right.
And the commission gets about half of that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have, sorry, I should have had that.
No.
We'll have it for you.
Any other questions?
So that $500 we're putting in, but they have other money they're getting from fees and other things they need to spend as well, correct?
Yes, but that's really new. That just started about 18 or 24 months ago. Really, they don't have a large amount of expenditures. 500 has been the traditional budget amount for them.
We would hope they get zero from the parking fees, because there wouldn't be any people parking like that, but,
I recall that being a very low utilization anyways when it was.
yeah, I was just wondering if it had gone away after the $300 fee fine.
Any other questions from the committee? I open it to the public. I see none. Thank you, Kevin. So we've reached our next 10-minute break, but I propose that we skip it and just move on. We don't have much
Okay.
left. If seconded, okay. No need for a vote on that. We can go ahead. Information and technology, page 89.
Hello, everybody. My name's Greg Honorato. I am the Director of Information Technology. I'll give you the spiel I usually give every year. My department technically works for Shrewsbury Electric and Cable Operations. We contract IT services out to the municipal departments of town. The school system's an exception. They have their own dedicated IT staff. As this slide shows, MIS was a term that was used over the years, and that stood for Management Information Systems. That term's kind of passé at this point. So I think we've updated some of the wording. Just to give you a kind of a little bit of an overview of what's been going on. We unexpectedly got the end of support date for our phone system, middle of last year. Actually, I'm sorry, it was more like the beginning of last year. So across the board, it was a humongous project. We had to completely replace the phone system. We decided to go with Zoom Phone. Everything is now cloud-based, so there's no more bulky, expensive on-premise phone equipment that needs to be replaced every, roughly 5 years. We also switched our managed print provider. And managed print basically means that you pay a small amount per page printed and repairs and supplies are included. It almost always ends up being cheaper than trying to self-service and self-supply printers. So that was a big project that we made it through. We are in the middle of penetration testing right now. That should be done within the next month. I know that's come up a few times. And our current cybersecurity company offers user training. cybersecurity user training, that is in phishing simulations. And that's a module that we can opt out of and save some money. We were able to actually get a grant through the state for a product called KnowBe4, which you may have heard of. So we've rolled out training to certain staff. The plan is to roll it out to staff across the board within the next month. So I guess I'll open it up to questions.
Dennis?
I was gonna ask about, do you do an annual audit of your vendor providers and cloud providers or whatever else the Selco or anyone uses?
Audit just to see, like, are we doing the right thing?
Also asking for SOC 2 reports, if you're doing outside printing, the security there, all that.
We're starting to. I think we
Okay.
probably haven't done enough of it in the past, but yes, we're trying to focus a lot on cyber right now.
I'm a thorn in your side.
No.
Yeah.
Great questions, honestly.
Penetration
Yeah.
testing. Okay, and then I do have one more question, but I'll let other people go first.
Sure. Somebody else had a question?
Dennis.
David?
So you do the cybersecurity for the town, correct? Your group?
Yes, so my group, yes, and the school system, they have their own tech people, but we work very closely together. So I would say collectively, both IT departments deal with cyber for across the infrastructure.
Okay, so, but they have their own, and, so, because my concern, if you have two cybersecurity teams working,
Mhm.
if there's an incident, you have two teams, it's not one team working. So, there is that vulnerability there of having two teams look. Could you absorb that? Could your team take over the school system's IT security systems?
That's a good question. I mean, technologically, it would be possible. What I would say, things have changed quite a bit since I worked for the schools, but I started my full-time career in the school IT department. The K-12 environment is very unique. It's very different than business. It's very different than municipal government. So I would say it's technically possible, but it would not be trivial necessarily to do that. So what we just scheduled our first meeting. We don't really have a name for it, but I'm going to call it a cybersecurity coalition, where we've got members from all groups that are going to meet on a regular basis to make sure we're on the same page. And as part of that, we've started putting together finally an incident response plan, so everybody knows what needs to happen, in what order, should there be a breach. And we hope there's not, but I think the common wisdom nowadays is it's not a question of if, it's a question of when, and you just need to prepare yourself as best as you can.
Hey, David, you done?
I'm sorry,
Right,
yes.
okay.
Yep.
Well, just to follow up on his question, if you were to merge them and even bring that resource over into one group, would that be more efficient and possibly allow you guys more growth, more capacity, I guess, not growth? Because I hear things every year when I ask these questions, I didn't realize you didn't have an incident response plan. That is a critical thing when it comes to cybersecurity.
Mm-hmm.
And if you had a few security people working together, you might be able to get those things done much quicker, sooner. Obviously, the school would have to pay some of it if they move the person into the larger issue. But
Sure.
I would hope that we could, take a look at doing that. Because I think it'd benefit the town. In security, I work in fintech. I mean, I used KnowBe4. I'm curious of how many phishing positive, things you've gotten. I'm betting a lot.
For the staff we've sent it out to, it's been a mix. I would
Yeah.
say, I don't want to make up numbers, but it's definitely been some.
Yeah,
people
they do a good job with their phishing. They make it a little
Yeah.
bit tough to
Yeah,
easily recognize. But yeah, I just would like to see if the town could look into maybe combining the security pieces of it. I understand K through 12 is different application, but the security pieces should not be that different. It's maintaining, the security of the individual device. It's monitoring traffic going in and out, making sure they're going to, using like a web sense, so they're going to only authorized places.
Mm-hmm.
That shouldn't be different between any department. So-
yeah. I don't want to give you a non-committal answer. What I would say is we can definitely look into it, and I understand why you're asking the
And
question.
this was also for the town manager as well. This is,
Mm-hmm.
I just think it would be a prudent thing for the town.
Yeah, I mean, as Greg said, we're expanding the meetings and the collaboration across town, school, and Selco. it's been ramping up probably over the last 6 months or so, and I think we're making some progress towards that direction.
I just think when they're sort of under the same roof,
Yep.
you can get more collaboration and, you know, assign people certain tasks, get it done.
Yes, sir.
But other than that, I do think, from what I've seen of you, Selco, the security seems to be good. Your pen test will probably tell you more. But
Yeah, oh, sure, yep.
who's doing the pen tests?
It's a company called Janus Associates.
Diana?
Yeah, so I'm looking at just this table and it's going from 0 to 1.3 million. I'm assuming it's just we were paying for it in a different way before and now it's showing up here.
Yeah, we were paying for this out of the operating support line item under MIS and telecom, and we're bringing it back under the departmental budget fee, essentially, to just sort of capture it a little bit better and not have it get lumped into that. Because typically when we would report shared operating costs, this would get pulled out because this is a town expense and not necessarily a shared cost across school, town, and Selco. So we have been spending a very similar amount each year.
Just to piggyback on Dana's question, so moving forward, we'll see it as an independent individual line item?
I'm sorry.
Moving forward, we'll see this as an individual line item.
And I think it's reflected in the budget book as well, under Department 155, is it? 155 is MIS, so it's broken up the same way where you have.
Okay.
So when we get to operating support, you'll see that that line is, this amount is basically taken out.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood the question, but yes, you'll see that there.
Okay, thanks.
So I had one question, Greg. The pen test, I'm assuming, is done like once a year or something?
That's the plan going forward, is at least once a year. Because this is the first time we've done it, we're gonna see what the results are, try to fix what we need to fix, and then do it again probably around the same time next year.
Do we have any constant monitoring of internal vulnerabilities and
Yes.
that's going on?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions from the committee? I open it to the public. I see none. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you very
for your
much.
time.
Thank you.
We now move on to the select board. So Kevin, I think you're handling the remaining items.
I'm just gonna move over.
Yeah.
Into the hot seat.
You're always gonna be in the hot seat.
Generally, the select board used to cover for themselves. They're not here today.
What happened?
Can't comment. So, the select board's budget, I'm happy to go over, on their behalf. They had some commitments this afternoon, they weren't able to be here. So, let me just run through. The select board, serves as this town's, chief executive body. So there's 5 individuals that are elected, to serve in that role. They hold the authority for local licensing of businesses and alcohol, Class 2, a variety of establishments, food licenses. They hold appointing authority over 3 department head positions and the town manager. There are the road and water commissioners, and they serve a critical role in translating the day-to-day needs of the community into policy and legislation. So the vision statement that we have reflected on this slide is the vision statement of the community, and that holds true because the select board is the entity that is directly responsible for the overall execution of the strategic plan. And they are the top of the waterfall for annual goals, priorities, from the outset of the budget process and through implementation, and their oversight authority as the CEO. Their budget is rather modest. This provides for a stipend, historic stipend, hasn't changed in quite some time. And then some miscellaneous expenses that the department incurs, including one of the largest is the town's membership as part of the Massachusetts Municipal Association, carrying out their duties as licensing authority, in other matters. So $25,503 is their total budget. The board does a great deal in public engagement in their role, of course, and communication and engagement with the community is a key part of their responsibilities. They, through the support of office staff, manage the town's Facebook page, provide regular communications to the community about their own activities, encouraging participation in elected seats, including town meeting and other elected office. They hold their own office hours and a monthly television show to help inform the community of the activities of their office. So happy to answer any questions you may have about the select board's budget or their activities.
Rajesh?
A quick question on the FY 26 goals. So what's a trying to understand what's a public form of government study?
Sure.
What is
So, the form of government study would be a committee of residents and other interested parties to review the core foundational aspects of our governance model. So right now, that occurs through a select board, town manager, executive function, and representative town meeting. So really looking into the pros and cons of that continued approach. So Shrewsbury has special legislation that was put in place that established that form of government in 1953. And I think one of the challenges of the age of that legislation and the time it was passed is it didn't require any regular renewal. Unlike communities who have entered into their governance model through the home rule process, they traditionally review their form of government and suggest changes on a 5 to 10 year basis. So really, we haven't taken a step back as a community and says, does town meeting, 5 elected select board members still serve the community best? And if it does, let's continue that. But at least we've taken the opportunity to look at it. And if it doesn't, what changes or tweaks can we make to that system to make improvements therein? So this is an initial step. There wouldn't be actions that would be taken after a form of government study. It would purely be a study to say, this works well, this may not work well, this could work better if we do something else. And then from there, if there were desired changes, it'd be a much more formal process, like a charter review commission or something like that would follow strict state rules and guidelines. And this form of government study is likely to take 12 to 18 months, and then a charter review commission would likely take another 2 years beyond that, just because of the formalities and the requirements in their process. But rest assured that, changes of the governance model require significant initiatives at the ballot and through special elections to make changes.
Thank you.
Is this funded through some other means, the study?
Right now, there's no funding associated with it or required for it. Mr. Snowden has been working with the Division of Local Services at the State Department of Revenue to get support and assistance in setting up our comparables community list and getting a foundational path forward for a commission or a committee, and the select board will likely be moving forward with appointments to the committee sometime this spring.
Would that also include looking at a completely different type? Like a
Yes, it
city
would.
manager type?
Yes, it would, yeah.
It would.
Yeah, so I'm gonna fail on the number, but there's 6 to 8 different models that can be adopted through the home rule process in Massachusetts. And Shrewsbury has one of the highest populations that hasn't transitioned to a city form of government. That doesn't mean we need to go there, but it just is an indicator that as budgets get bigger and things get a little bit more complex, efficiencies and inefficiencies need to be considered in how we operate. So it's definitely on the table to look at a variety of different legislative governance models and executive governance models.
Diana?
I'm really glad to see this. I hope one of the outcomes is this ends up being more routine review. So that's something I would encourage after the more formal of it. So this initial study, will this have some community feedback, or that would come at the later stages of the process?
No, there would be significant community feedback throughout this as well. We've initiated, or started to draft a charge that would require, public hearings and community dialogue and reporting back to the select board regularly. So there'll be a lot of opportunity.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the committee? Any from the public? I see none. Thank you, Kevin. We can move on to town manager.
So finally, we get to the town manager's budget. And I appreciate the opportunity to be before you, just like so many other leaders within the community and the department heads. I do, like so many of them have done in the past, want to thank you for the work that you do as a finance committee. I see you all as kind of the connective tissue that binds together executive and legislative actions. You obviously serve a critical advisory role and help us on a day-to-day basis know that we have to come before you before we go to town meeting, that we have to have our pencils sharpened, and then we're going to receive meaningful feedback. So we appreciate your time and the amount of effort that you put in not only these budget hearings, but throughout the course of the years, we deal with challenging issues and the penultimate step before we can actually put new policy or legislation into place. I have to thank the select board because there's no way they'd ever be able to see this. I'll advise that no one should ever have 5 bosses, but that's just my personal opinion. But they certainly do make me a better town manager, and I know they press us on a day-to-day basis that we can find the best outcomes that we possibly can for this community. They provide great advice and assistance to all of us as a staff, and makes it an enjoyable place to work. We strive on a day-to-day basis in our office to be the best central leadership department of any local government, and try to strive to be the best local government in the world is kind of our anecdotal vision statement. I just want to take an opportunity to recognize the direct staff that we have in the town manager's office. Most of them are here outside of Carmella. They're the only ones that are here. I'll start with the assistant town managers, Keith and Dave. Their roles, as you know, are to manage horizontally across the organization. They lead, guide, and support senior management in making decisions, interpreting policy, setting goals, and ensuring outcomes are grounded in our values, and also trying to meet the aspirations of our vision statement. They certainly each take a unique approach. Dave thrives in goal development in the deep, dark corners of spreadsheets, and Keith honestly can manage anything that's in front of him, whether it's a delicate social service, or wrestle with developers to make sure that we can get the best outcomes on behalf of the community. I'll turn to Taylor Galusha, who's our communications coordinator. Everyone knows Taylor. She consistently gets the most shout outs of any town employee in public meetings, certainly deservedly so. Taylor operates in a world where attention and virality is more important in communications for most people than facts, and she has to deal in the world of facts and no gimmicks, and I think she does a great job of getting the town's message out there. She certainly created an identity and a voice for the community where we didn't have one in the past, so incredible work that she does. Justin Dobson is assistant to town manager as well. Probably except for first thing every morning, I don't ever not see Justin in the town hall. He seems to be here all the time. He basically takes on everything in the office that doesn't fall neatly into anyone else's lap or category. He directly supports the select board and myself, the 2 assistant town managers, and really everyone else in the office. Takes on complex legal challenges as a layperson, and really produces outcomes that I fully trust and rely upon. We have a new member in the office this year, Jeff Goodwin. We've centralized procurement, which I think is a major step forward for the town. It's another functional area that we didn't have staff support in the past. That kind of fell within the vertical mix of every department. Now we're trying to make it a professional part and a cross-cutting aspect of the organization. He's been with us less than 6 months, but he's already developing a robust procurement system for the community. Julie Tierney is our business systems analyst. She has led the town's digital transformation, and we often helicopter her in on some of the most complex and important projects to ensure that we get the best outcome. She's assisted on things like the advanced metering initiative and the water replacement project. Sometimes Julie's work actually means that at the start of a project, we move backwards because we weren't really at the beginning. We were starting somewhere in the middle. Any work that we do forward, that we're going to talk about this new initiative with enterprise optimization, is standing on the foundation of the work that Julie has done over the past 2.5 years, and making sure that we kind of weed out systems that we don't need and identify processes that are extremely inefficient. And we'll benefit from all that work and continue to drive Julie in that direction for innovation with the organization. And last but not least is Alex. She's management analyst, assistant to the town manager. She does all my actual work, in case anyone was wondering. Honestly, though, Alex does risk management, leads the day-to-day development of the budget, town meeting warrants, prepares department heads for all public-facing aspects associated with the finance committee, accounts payable, ARPA, grants and management. I could certainly go on. Probably if you talk to any of the department heads that will hear, if they had to get an answer on my perspective on something, and they had the opportunity to ask me or ask Alex, they would ask Alex, and she would get it right, and I would get it wrong. So I just want to thank my staff, because we do get exceptional outcomes. Gives me the opportunity to work at the bigger picture stuff and help think of where we need to be and put us in an overall better place. I'm truly grateful for all the effort and everyone being here throughout this process. I've been in my position for 8 years almost at this point. It's my 20th year in local government service, 22nd year in the public sector. There's always been negative external perceptions of the profession, including many of the people that we actually serve directly. But we all know that our commitment easily overcomes that, because we have the opportunity to perhaps leave the community in a better place that we found it. That's what we all strive to do. It makes coming to work great with this team, and having that type of purpose in your career has been really meaningful for me, and drives me on a day-to-day basis. So kind of broader perspective on what I have the opportunity to do. My position with the town enables me to be the chairman of the West Suburban Health Group, which is a joint purchasing agency of 10 communities to lower our health insurance costs. I'm also a board member of the Massachusetts Municipal Reinsurance Association. I serve as the member of the board of directors of the Massachusetts Municipal Association. I'm a gubernatorial appointee of the Commonwealth's Local Government Advisory Committee. I'm the second vice president of the Massachusetts Municipal Association. So I'm given the incredible opportunity to not only shape things that go on in Shrewsbury, but also help my colleagues throughout the Commonwealth produce good local government outcomes, which I'm very passionate about. This year, for my work personally, I've had the honor of collaborating with city and county managers from across the country to develop models for building trust in local government. I've co-led a forum on best practices in local government communications, moderated a panel on artificial intelligence in local government, engaged with companies and startups to chart a path for enterprise use of AI in local government. And on Monday, I'm really excited to convene over 10 different local government agencies on a summit here in Shrewsbury that will bring 40 local government professionals and private sector individuals, so we can position local government in New England to be able to adopt practical AI in our operations. So I've been spending a lot of time thinking about how we can leverage AI to benefit local communities. and really put Shrewsbury at the forefront and working with some pretty interesting companies to do things on a lower cost and more efficient basis for the community. So as we look back in 2025 broadly, we've made a number of significant accomplishments. We continue to manage the financial stability of the community and the resources that we have. That's all bundled up within the strategic plan. And as I talked about at your last meeting, this comes in the form of a system. We've been working through the strategic plan, internally transforming the community, ensuring financial stability. We have a lot of work to do, but the accomplishments that we've made are clearly notable and have been on display for you over the course of these budget hearings. And our office has the unique ability to help participate and shape the outcomes and work with the incredible leaders across the organization in driving those changes. As we look forward to fiscal year 26, one unique aspect of the budget request this year is the $250,000 for the enterprise performance and optimization. Again, we talked about this a little bit at your last meeting, but our goal is to accelerate digital transformation, enhance partnerships and service agreements to mitigate future costs and potentially lower them, and really drive horizontal integration across the organization, both through the assistant town managers and other cross organizational support functions. So specifically throughout the course of the year, we continue to focus on community engagement and driving opportunity for residents to learn more about what it is that we do. That comes through a number of platforms, including the Town Manager Download podcast, which Taylor shared a graphic with me, was downloaded 38 times in Singapore this year, which is, I didn't know my Mandarin was that good, but it's very interesting. We're excited to continue that process. We do the weekly email update, a quarterly newsletter. We've been holding a number of roundtables and office hours for direct engagement with the community, trying to bridge that gap, overcome the mistrust issues that we have that are prevalent in local government, but we don't want to settle in here in Shrewsbury. And then finally, as we previously noted with the community, we've received a Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for the fiscal 24 budget, High Performance Government Award through OpenGov. We continue to maintain AAA bond rating. And then my final note, a new initiative during fiscal year 25. We started internal newsletter from myself that goes out to all employees. So it's just a new way to kind of share our message and get feedback from employees, keep them informed what we're doing across the organization, help them find purpose in what they do and see how they fit into the bigger picture that is the town of Shrewsbury. So again, thanks to the committee for your attention and your diligence, not only in these meetings, but throughout the course of the year. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about the town manager's budget.
So, thank you, Kevin. That was a very wonderfully done presentation, and I'm sure that I speak on behalf of everybody. We really appreciate the work you and your team do, and the final slide is just evidence of some great successes. And over the years, your 8 years here, and I've been part of this town for about 20 plus years, and I've seen the positive changes as a result of your team. So thank you for that. I'll open it to questions from the committee. I think, Jean, you had a question.
I have one quick question.
Sure.
Thank you for the presentation. I learned something every day. I never realized you had 8 people in your office. Okay.
Well, we try not to add those up in front of you, Gene.
Okay. The other thing is,
Talking trust.
then going to the expense sheet, and I look at the S&W full-time.
Yeah.
And the average individual picked this up and looks at that and says, what's that? Somebody makes all that kind of money?
Sure.
I would think there'd be some type throughout a whole budget, the S&W, there's more than one person involved in that line. I would think there'd be some type of a way to indicate in the format that 8 or 6 or 2 or 1.
Sure,
I think that would be valuable information. That's,
that makes sense, yeah. That's also broken out into 3 different salary and wage category areas, 01, 02, and 03.
yeah, that's fine.
But that makes sense. That's a good point.
That's fine.
Yep, that's a good point.
I echo the Jean's comments because I did receive screenshots from some of the community members
Okay,
about that.
about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to split it up so that it's much more detailed.
Sure.
With one more question.
Sure.
So with the optimization project that you are envisioning this year, so throughout the process, I heard that every department is implementing their own software or processes. So are we all these processes and softwares, we are going to talk to each other at the end of the day when it comes to you, or you have that broader visibility, or they're all doing their own bespoke
No,
tools?
yeah. So everything is being coordinated. I have to admit, throughout some of the department presentations, through many of them, there are many points of pride because I can hear that overlap that's going on throughout the organization. So the optimization and the investment in software flows directly, through a couple gates within the organization. Really, first in scoping, sizing happens within the individual departments. But once a need is identified by the department and they have kind of 4 corners around it, it goes to Julie Tierney to make sure, one, it makes sense and that we don't have anything else that can already provide that through our ERP or CRM. Then it would go to IT for the architecture capabilities, and then to myself for, the investment through the budget. But everything I can assure you is coordinated, that, whenever you've heard departments talk about AI or business process transformation or streamlining this or that, it's all being orchestrated centrally.
Yeah, so maybe I was didn't phrase it correctly. Not that you are aware of, but in the end, they're all talking to each other. The
Oh,
software.
the systems themselves,
yeah.
absolutely, yeah. And the direction that we've moved in over the past 2.5 years or 3 is actually a reduction in the unique niche software systems and movement to just the 2 broader platforms that we primarily operate from.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments, Diana?
Sorry, my day job in my company is digital transformation. So I know it happens in other budget line items and things like that, but I am curious if you see this as this 250,000 as this is a 1 year, one time, or you think that this is going to be a multi-year thing. So I just wanted to get some of your thoughts on that.
I think it's more than likely to be a multi-year thing, but I don't think that it'd be $250,000 every year. We do see, this is kind of like, you could put it in a number of ways, or at least from my perspective, you could put it in a number of ways. It's a little venture capitalistic to help us get some solutions in place and overcome some of our inefficient processes. So we've talked about payroll a lot. So we know we're really expensive when we do payroll because it takes like 13.5 FTE across the organization. We obviously have to keep processing payroll on a day-to-day basis, but we know we can get to a more efficient way. So how can we leverage an external consultant, an advisor, a system to get us from point A to point B? Then it may be piloting or just other, consultant type work to audit our business processes and recommend improvements.
If I can have a follow-up. So do you kind of have a list of like, these are the things we're trying to tackle? So obviously payroll comes up, but do you have like,
Yep.
then this, then this, then
Yes,
this?
yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can share that with you. It's still a work in progress, but payroll, accounts payable are 2 key business processes. Revenue turnovers, a lot of it is back office, but it could likely yield a lot of efficiency to either redirect staff to do more meaningful work or actually save real dollars or positions over time.
Any other questions from the committee? Open it up to the public, no questions. Thank you, Kevin. We'll move on to Finance Committee.
Switch spots.
You can take over.
So the Finance Committee obviously serves a critical role throughout the year, not only advising and supporting the town manager's office on all financial decisions, but also advising town meeting on all financial and non-financial warrant articles that come before them. You're a 9-member body that's appointed by the moderator, and serve in a critical role, obviously, in supporting the legislative body. One of your, obviously, practical primary functions is controlling the town's reserve fund. So this is the only opportunity that we have as an organization throughout the course of the year, since we operate under town meeting form of government, to make adjustments to budgets. It becomes even more challenging within the municipal side of the house, because town meeting controls our budget at the salary and wage level and the expense level, not just on a bottom line basis. And the finance committee plays that role if we have under budgeted or have an unforeseen, unexpected expense, to be able to distribute out funds from the reserve fund. This year, we're proposing the reserve fund be at $360,000. That is nearly policy level, which is 5% of expenses throughout
4, 5,
all
6,
operating departments. So just as a point of clarification, we draw down from the reserve fund over the course of the year, so it wasn't that we didn't budget any funds there in FY '23 or '24. It's actually representation that we expended funds from that account and put it out into other departments. So again, largest part is the reserve fund, and happy to talk about that or discuss anything.
What are operational expenses?
Got it out, go for it.
Yeah, so lunch.
Okay.
One lunch of the year.
And the materials for these books.
Okay.
I think there's like an annual membership for the Association of Town Finance Committees. And then if any new members come on board, the nameplates. So that's mostly it.
Any questions from the committee, on the committee? Open it to the public. No questions. Thank you. We'll go to the last department, operating support, 891.
Sure. So operating support represents a category of expenses that benefits broadly across the organization, not just municipal departments, but also the school department. Includes employee assistance and program, group health and life insurance, which is the largest single line item in the budget. Our Medicare match as an employer, any unemployment compensation costs, the fuel and oil that services all department operations, and then a variety of miscellaneous costs for print, postage, and stationery, Memorial Day celebration, and another sizable category of general insurance and risk liability. So this is a sizable budget category. We're proposing at $21,458,750. Group health and life insurance is the largest line item, as I've said. It's budgeted at $18 million, which is $1.20 million higher than than FY25 budget. We've been spending a lot of time reviewing, given the size of this line item, what is the best approach for health insurance? Select Board member Teresa Flynn works in benefits consulting and has provided a tremendous amount of support over the last year in helping us review our position with the West Suburban Health Group, which is a joint purchasing agency of 9 other communities, along with the town, where we pool resources and fully insure, or excuse me, self-insure our claims and pay them out. It has provided the town with cost savings over the last 20 plus years, but we've really investigated the town's position as it relates to the overall joint purchasing agency for the past 3 years. We have been a net contributor, which is concerning, meaning that the premiums that the town and the employees have provided to the group has exceeded the claims. We know that insurance claims are cyclical and that can change in any year, but this has actually provided a kind of a wake-up call to the whole West Suburban Health Group that we need to look at the joint purchasing agreement itself that was put in place in 1990 and other critical aspects of how we operate. We also have sought costs from other organizations and entities and thought about, whether or not it makes sense to go fully self-insured on our own as a single entity, or to get a fully insured quote from a group like MIA, the Massachusetts Interlocal Insurance Agency, which is run by the MMA. So we're really looking at health insurance. For fiscal year 25 to 26, it's $1 million price difference. The majority of that is anticipation of moves, adds, and changes, additional employees taking health insurance. So not all of these costs may come to fruition. For the health insurance premium year over year, the actual cost adjustment for the town is very low. It's very enviable. It's only about 3.5%. That cost is being subsidized by using some of the West Suburban Health Group's trust fund to mitigate a cost impact. The actual cost renewal, still very good, was about 7%. But the West Suburban Health Group has a policy that should have 8 to 12% in its trust fund, and we're at 13.5%, so 1.5% will be used for all of the participating entities to lower the year-over-year rate renewal. Medicare employment match is the federal payroll tax that we're required to provide. Jumping back to health insurance just real quick, this is the town's portion, which represents about 70 to 75% of the total insurance costs, because employees contribute around 25% as well. General insurance is the last part that I'll touch on. So this includes professional liability, general liability, auto liability, as our major lines of insurance. And we work with a broker to get prices competitive every year, and then every 3 to 5 years we look at our brokers and make sure that our brokers, putting us in the best position by shopping those services as well. So again, it's about $21.5 million. Many of these costs are attributed to both municipal and education operations.
Any questions from the committee? Dennis?
One question, on the health and life insurance, does the town provide incentives for people not to take the insurance?
Not at this time, we do not. It is something that we're discussing.
As I'm sure there's a lot of married couples where they end up coming to the whatever spouse is working in the town here because their company is paying them.
And we are concerned about, we have been discussing that because we kind of feel we may be one of the last groups standing, so to speak, that we don't have any gates or limitations for people taking our insurance. Over the last 2 or 3 years, we have, despite, I will call it, much less than what we've actually experienced in health insurance, but the number of new health insurance enrollees has greatly outpaced the number of overall total new employees.
Right.
So, to your point, we definitely need to look at that.
Yeah.
Just a quick question on the MIS support. What's the 4,000 remaining in the line?
Closed captioning.
Yeah, so I believe at the May town meeting last year, we contracted with captioning services to have somebody there to provide captioning services, and that historically was never budgeted anywhere, so it's kind of just been picked up in various categories. So this will allow for a line item to cover that cost for annual town meetings and then any special town meetings as well.
Okay, thank you.
Rajesh?
Well, one quick question. So I see that there's nothing mentioned about the 300th committee celebrate costs
Yeah.
in the line item. So is that anticipated to come out from the free cash or?
So, right now, they haven't requested any additional funding, so they do have, about 50,000 in total at their disposal, some that's limited to be used until calendar year 2026. They are often fundraising as well, but we don't anticipate an operating budget line item for them, but there may be additional free cash needs in the future.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the committee? Not I open to the public. I see none. Thank you, Kevin. And that brings to a conclusion our scheduled review of the budget fiscal year 2026. If there are no further comments or questions, may I get a motion to close the budget hearing?
Are we gonna discuss?
We'll do that after we close the budget hearing.
Come on.
Wait, I just wanted to, thank the entirety of the town staff. I know this is a lot of work to pull this together, and I'm continually impressed by the professionalism of everyone who comes before us, so thank you all so much. And I think this year felt to me like it ran very smoothly, and, I mean, we did get an hour behind at one point, but it, you know, I think it was really well done this year. So I just wanted to make sure to say thank you to you, all the departments heads, everyone who presented to us, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Diana. Anyone else want to say anything? Not me, I get a motion to close the budget hearings of fiscal year 2026. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All against, please say nay. Motion passes. Thank you. We shall now review the meeting schedule, and that includes a discussion that we had on Thursday, which we should close on since we're most probably not going to have the March 27th meeting. Does anybody want to say anything about where we left off? And then I can add on to what I've been thinking and discussing.
Mr. Chairman, would you mind if I just jump in there real quick?
Sure.
So the select board, in setting their agenda, I may have got ahead of myself the other night. The select board in setting their agenda does have an agenda item to consider a special town meeting in April still. So I made a comment in advance of them making the final decision, so I just want to throw that out there to you. Likely, you wouldn't need a meeting on, well, it wouldn't make sense to have a meeting on March 27th because we haven't posted a public hearing, so it'd have to occur later. So I just wanted to clarify that from my comment on Thursday night. So we still may need to have a public hearing on a special town meeting, but, you know, that could occur on April 10th or something, you know, as a separate part of that public hearing process.
I see.
I apologize for any confusion.
That's okay. So, David, did you have anything else you wanted to add on to your proposal?
Well, you know, I don't care how it's exactly done. I feel that the idea, as long as we're able to compress down and show our concerns for certain things prior to the final budget being put in, the warrants being put in, also makes it easy for everyone, instead of watching the 12 hours of all of our comments, to sort of see
Right.
what we feel about certain things. And I think that will help the public and the boards and the department heads about going through and listening to everything. So as long as that's accomplished, I don't care how we do it.
So, one proposal is that we do that in the budget report. So we add a section over there, we can list concerns. And it doesn't have to be unanimous concerns, it could be some members presented this concern and things like that, we can capture in that document, if everybody's okay with that.
Sounds good.
I think that, to me, feels that more of the spirit that you were getting at than of a vote on each department. So I would prefer the suggestion of any committee members who have specific concerns that they want to make sure are shared can, I'm assuming it would be work with Alex on the contents of that report.
Yep, and we usually draft and finalize that report during the April public
Yes.
hearings on the town meeting warrant.
Could we get a draft prior to the April 10th meeting? Is that
Of
possible?
the report?
Of the
Yeah,
report, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So then we can start adding
Sure.
individually, and then we'll coalesce them, and so we can have it all ready by the 17th, and we can approve it on the 17th.
And for the town manager, that gives the department heads enough time, if they see something we're saying and they have a concern, it gives them time to talk about it before it becomes too final.
Yeah, well, I would say that if committee members have particular concerns that they're aware of or that you think of over the next few days, if you could, not to the whole committee, but reach out directly to us if you want to share those concerns with us so we can start to think about them as we consider fiscal projection too and any revisions that we need to make. Like I said, you know, we'll likely be making some changes within the Board of Health budget and, you know, some other tweaks. I don't think we're gonna have any more information from the state on their budget process, so, you know, the changes will be limited as they have been, you know, in years prior, but if there is something of major concern, and then, you know, if I hear the same thing from 4 or 5 folks, I'll reach out to the chairman and let him know that, you know, several people are raising the same concern and how we're thinking about it, so.
Yeah, that's a public meeting reason to not go to the whole.
Correct.
Just so everyone knows, if we went to the whole committee, it'd be
Oh, yeah.
open meeting
Law.
law.
Yep.
Okay, I think we've reached an agreement on that. The second thing, before we review the meeting, since we, during the public hearing today, we did come to an agreement for a tri-board meeting. So I would ask the town manager's office if they could schedule that. Does anybody, I know, Jean, you have a early April conflict, so if we could do it after that,
Yeah.
mid to late April sometime.
Could I just ask, so Thursday is out now, definitely for next week?
Correct.
Okay, so we can continue to review the meeting schedule. So Thursday, March 27th, on paper, yes, but most probably no. Thursday, April 10th is our public hearing on annual town meeting warrant. Monday, April 14th is, if there is a special town meeting, it'll be on the April 14th. Thursday, April 17th, a public hearing on the annual town meeting. That'll be the second public hearing we conduct. And then Monday, May 19th is our annual town meeting. Any questions or concerns? So Alex, you'll get back to us as far as the tri-board meeting date yet? Okay. Okay, if there are no comments or questions, if I could get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All against, please say nay, and the motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.